So, Peter, you asked a question, and you referred to I made some broad, sweeping statements about not aligning yourself with anything or anyone, or don't believe in anything. Um, and you said, well, how can you even be if you're not? Since we're social animals, how can we exist? Or how can we survive without without social interaction? After all, we're the ultimate social creatures, right? We uh, we thrive with that, and without it, we die, basically. So there's a distinction between this need, this intrinsic need, and the way we're socialized, in contrast to recognizing the need, and then being able to transcend it. So, granted, as infants and young children, we can't survive without others. But when I talk about things like increasing cognitive capacity, increasing this clarity or quality of consciousness that is free from it's free to manifest this creative capacity. What that necessitates is a process of tearing down, dismantling, and deconditioning the entire process of socialization. Because what you're part of, and you don't see it because we all are like a fish swimming in water. That fish doesn't know what water is because he lives and breathes it. So too, similarly, we are so intrinsically shaped through social engineering and socialization that we lose the conceptual understanding or ability to understand that the greatest and most painful experiences that we have, we must face alone. And in fact, in a certain sense, in a subjective sense, we go through life alone in a very real sense. I mean, there's moments when we meet and we exchange with others and we share with others, and this is enriching and uplifting. But the trials and the struggles that we must face independently. The real trials and real struggles that grant us opportunity for growth and personal empowerment are done in solitude. Now there's a sense, there's our sense of identity is so entangled with society and how we're programmed to believe what we are, and that we must belong, and we must be aligned with, and we must be part of some group. But really, this is entirely untrue. My point is that you can recognize the need. You can experience solitude, where the most powerful transformations take place. You could experience loneliness. You could experience the utter despair of loneliness and then transcend it. But if I'm continually distracted throughout my life by meeting the expectations of others, worrying about how others perceive us, belonging to the right groups or organizations or institutions, identifying with the right ideologies or thought groups or echo chambers or politics, thinking in ways that are generally accepted by those around me and those in general, then the intention of my being and my behavior and the patterns of my behavior will be to adapt to all these external influences. So then what really am I? Is there any core? Is there any substantive sense of self here, a core identity? Or is it all just a multitude of interactions and transactions with my social environment? My claim is, and I say this through experience, the hard way, when you can break away from and decondition yourself from the pressures and influences and information that's being presented to us continually, only then do when you learn to stand alone completely independently, you get a sense of this, an experience of this fortitude and resilience and freedom and clarity of mind. So this is a process, a complete process of deconditioning. And you, knowing you're already are more naturally like that. So you have less work to do, but it's intrinsic. We're conditioned, like a fish in water, not to see the way we're conditioned. So there's an effort. And the effort involves learning through direct experience and not from what information coming from the outside or what others are doing and saying, right? So there must be a rejection of all that and a knowing through experience. See, because in order to know anything, we have to know first the nature of what it is that knows. If we don't know the nature of what it is that knows, the mind, we don't see how the mind has been programmed or usurped or is being used by society as part of society. Only when you know the nature of of that which knows, the mind, through study and through elimination of influences from the outside world. When you know the nature of your own mind, then you understand the workings of the world as well, of all humanity. So if you dig deep, if you understand the patterns and the responses and the behavioral patterns and the reactions that you experience continually, you know all of humanity, because we are no different. We share the same chemistry. So to answer your question, yes, I say reject it all and start with nothing. Start with emptiness. If you can have no preconceptions, no judgments, no alignments. There's a freedom, there's a largeness, there's an infinite capacity there. Whenever you make a judgment about something and you align yourself with a way of thinking or a worldview, you set limitations for yourself. So, and you don't need them. You can know, I can know, and you can know anything or everything or anything I want without having to align myself with any pattern of belief or ideology. It's all there for me. All I have to do is be aware. Practice being aware. And we practice being aware, increasing awareness and consciousness by becoming aware of being aware and studying that awareness and how it works. And that awareness will begin to shed light on all aspects of yourself and all aspects of the world, because you are the only link you have to the world. When you understand it from this side, from the inside out, the other half will be understood as well. There's no need for limitations of any kind. There's no need for affiliations of any kind. You have the capacity for understanding just from knowing the nature of your own mind. And then the whole world of understanding unfolds. Can you live alone in solitude? Yes. In fact, cultivating solitude is probably one of the greatest tasks you'll ever do. It's all about freeing oneself from distractions. This world is filled with a myriad of distractions. If we turn consciousness inward and look at the nature of one's own mind and the way it works, there's an explosion, there's a new evolution and a mutation of the organism itself. When one disciplines the mind and frees oneself from all desire, all of these things are about desire and fear. Fear of not having and fear of not being. Fear of not having enough and fear of not being enough. And so we attach ourselves, we align ourselves with larger things to bolster us up, when we don't need that at all. We have, within this system right here, this is the best it can be. It doesn't get any better than this, the human organism. And the king, the lord of being, is consciousness. Because there's nothing that takes place without consciousness. Everything is a product of consciousness. And everything must pass through consciousness. So when you identify with consciousness, the primacy of consciousness, rather than the world of distractions and my desire and my fear, we remove all boundaries. So yes, solitude and the most extreme, the most extreme simplicity that you can cultivate in your life. The key to ultimate power, as powerful as we can be, is austerity. Is as simply as living as simply as possible. And this is also the key to human success on this planet, is learning to live simply. And to be content and to be exuberant in that state. So that's it.